Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, this is the amazing Darren the Heron candy trick. You see, Darren the Heron said to the kids, I'm going to give out some candy to kids who do activities here at the cottage. I'll give half of my candies to the kids that go swimming. I'll give a quarter of my candies to the kids that go biking, and I'll give 1/6 of my candy to the kids that go hiking. The kids got all excited, and then they counted Darren's candy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 candies. And then somebody said, Darren, we have a problem. We only have 11 candies. We can't divide 11 candies in half. We can't divide 11 candies in quarters, and we can't get 1/6 of 11. What are we going to do? Well, Darren, being the resourceful heron that he is, simply reached into his pocket, his furry little pocket, and brought out one more candy and added it to the pile. And now he said to the kids, well, what's half of 12? The kids said 6. So Darren took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and was able to give half of the candy to the kids that went swimming. He then said, kids, what's a quarter of 12? And they said 3. So Darren took 3 candies and now was able to give a quarter of the candies to all the kids that went biking. And finally, Darren said, what's 1/6 of 12? The kids had to think about that for a second, and then they said 2. Darren took 2 candies and now was able to give 1/6 of the candy to all the kids that went hiking. There was 1 candy left, and Darren smiled and said, that's my candy. That's the candy I put in at the very beginning. That's pretty clever. And you see, ladies and gentlemen, that's how the legend developed. And that is the amazing Darren the Heron candy trick. Here's how you perform the Darren the Heron candy trick. First, I want to say that this is a mathematical puzzle, and it always works out if you follow these simple directions. What you need are 12 pieces of candy. I like to use individually wrapped candy since you're going to be touching them a lot, and I also like to use candies all the same flavor so people can't really keep track of which candies are where. That's important. If you don't have candies at home, use 12 small objects. You could use 12 paper clips. You could use 12 elastics, 12 pennies, 12 coins. They just have to be small so you can move them around easily. You also need these Darren the Heron activity fraction cards. This one says swimming a half. This says biking a quarter, hiking 1/6, and then you have one that says Darren the Heron. Let me just show you how you set these up. You put the Darren down, then you put the hiking down, then you put the biking, and then you put the swimming. Now, I know you don't have these cards, so here's what I've done. I've made a downloadable PDF file that your parents can download and print off at home and cut them along these lines very carefully with scissors so that you end up with these cards. So that's it. Now you have the cards and now you have your candy. And again, this is a self-working mathematical puzzle and will always work. The last thing that you need to do is take one of the pieces of candy and put it in your pocket. Now you're ready to do the trick. You explain how Darren the Heron says he's going to hand out candy accordingly. So he'll give half the candy to the people that go swimming, a quarter of the candy to the kids that go biking, and 1/6 of the candy to the kids that go hiking. And the kids get all excited and they count the candy and they find out, wait a minute, 1, 2, 3, 4, we have 11 pieces of candy. Well, we can't divide 11 pieces according to these fractions. What are we going to do? What you do is you simply reach into your pocket and add the extra piece. Now you have 12 pieces of candy, and 12 will now divide by all of these fractions. So you say half of the candies go to the kids that went swimming. Well, what's half of 12? 6. So you take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the candies and say, that's it. Darren gave half of the candy to the kids that went swimming and put those aside. Now a quarter of the candies go to the kids that went biking. What's a quarter of 12? Well, it's 3. So you take 1, 2, 3 candies, and now you're able to put this aside saying Darren gave a quarter of the candies to the kids that went biking. And the last one is 1/6. You ask, what's 1/6 of 12? And you might have to think about this for a second. So you tell them it's 2. So Darren took 2 candies and was now able to give 1/6 of the candy to all the kids that went hiking, and you put that aside. Now, because this is a mathematical puzzle, you will always be left with one candy. And you can say, well, that was the candy that Darren put in at the very beginning. So Darren was able to take this candy and put it back into his pocket. And that is how Darren solved the problem, and that's how the legend of Darren the Heron grew, and that is the Darren the Heron candy trick. I hope you enjoy it.